This is Jeremy Jorgensen, host of the Y at a 5 podcast, proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Each show on the network is independently owned, and the views expressed may not represent those of other podcasts. For the best education podcasts, visit edupodcastnetwork.com.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology instructional coach for my district.
And I'm our producer and husband, Fuzz Martin, transitioning from pumpkin pie to raspberry pie as we start the new year.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Thanks.
I mean, there's a few other food puns you could add into there.
Yeah, like can't wait for fish fry season. Gonna go to the Coddy potty. I don't know. It was party, not the other one. But you know, yeah. So there's there were a few food puns that could make
crunching.
Oh yeah,
something with
crunchy raspberry pie cod
chips. Okay,
yeah.
So we're back.
Fish and microchips.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, there you go.
It is 2026, everybody. 2026. And this is episode, though, 225.
This is our 8th year doing this podcast.
Craziness.
That is way crazy.
That is crazy.
Okay.
We started in our kitchen, at our kitchen counter.
In 2018, yeah.
And here we are in your tiny studio.
Little studio. It's not that tiny.
I mean, it's a good size studio. It's your office.
Yeah.
So
it's about 50 square feet. I'm just kidding.
No.
That's more than that.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we are at a slightly larger table that's not our kitchen counter. Mm-hmm. And the holidays have wrapped up. We are back at school today. And the whole inspiration for this podcast this week, because we have been off for a week and a half here, has been a lot of quality time at home with our family.
Yes.
And our youngest child, she is very much into like science and math and things. And there has been a whole lot of Crunch Labs.
Yes. Mark Rober. Because now it's on Netflix. He's been on YouTube for a long time, actually. I've used his videos on science and NASA and stuff in my classroom before. Mm-hmm. And now that it's on Netflix, then she flipped back to YouTube and she's like, oh my gosh. So we've spent a lot of time with Mark Rober and the Crunch Labs people, problem solving and building. Mm-hmm. And she also got a Crunch Labs subscription for Christmas. What she asked for Christmas. Mark Rober is a former NASA engineer turned
YouTuber.
Yeah, YouTube personality. He's friends with Mr. Beast and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, honestly,
yeah.
all of us are at our house are watching it, which is funny. I guess she's into it, but I'll be cooking dinner, or I was grading papers, and I was doing things and also watching in the background too.
It goes on as soon as she wakes up, and then we have to tell her to turn it off, and then it goes on again later in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she started building a little kit and firing little frisbees at all of us and the dog, and it's a thing. So anyway, needless to say, there's been a lot of Crunch Labs in our house. So then it inspired me for this week's podcast to then talk about some stuff that goes along with problem solving and coding and things like that. And I started digging for some resources for my students for my enrichment class. Besides showing a Mark Rober video or two to them, I want them to work on some coding. And I was looking for sites that are different ones I've talked about in the past, and also looking at specific skill sets this time around. So for episode 2025, we are talking about coding. We're going to talk about 2 different coding websites. And both of them fall into like teaching problem solving skills, giving students comfort in typing, which is something I started thinking about. The more I started thinking about, like we do a lot of scratch coding, elementary, like learning how to code. But students so often now are used to swiping, or even a lot of our Chromebooks in our school are touchscreen, where like teaching them to code, like there's some typing skills that go along with coding, and some of our students are lacking in that area. So it's kind of a good way to make them more conscious of how they're typing or what they're typing. It's a creative space. It's on a computer, but it's a creative space for students to be able to come up with their own ideas and brainstorm. And there's, a lot of safety nets built in. They're not just going to start creating something and it's going to be an epic fail. Like it may not work and they can go back and make adjustments. Teaches a lot of future skills that we're seeing that students are going to need and getting them future ready. And then there's lots of challenges. So even if students, I have quite a few students that are pretty adept at coding, but then it pushes them to the next level. So the first site we're going to talk about is Coddy.
Coddy.
It's Coddy.tech is the way to get there. And you can, when you get to Coddy, you can go ahead. I have an account, so it always, of course, jumps into your account as soon as you create one. So as you go into Coddy, it says, like, what is your purpose? So what are you going to be coding for? Which is really helpful, because if you're going to have students like single sign in with Google, then you can have them choose the level that they are at. So not every student in your class has to be coding at the exact same level. And you can start, like they start with, how do you want to learn? Like, I have no idea. Like maybe they haven't been exposed to coding, and maybe you have students that are way further along. I would say this would be probably 5th, 6th grade on up. It does walk you through step by step, but just understanding and making sure students, your district is good with single sign-on with Google and things like that.
Sure.
Python, HTML, JavaScript, Java, C++, CSS. They've got a whole list of all the different types of coding you can learn, which is great. So students can pick, or you can guide them with which you would like them to start with. And then, like, I just picked JavaScript to start with. That's where most of my students are usually starting at. And then they can say if they're a complete beginner, if they have some experience but need a refresher, they're confident in their coding skills, or they're expert at coding. So it can work up through different levels. You're not just everybody stuck in the same place as your starting point. Then once you choose like where you're at, it sets you up with your little journey. And it's basically like a little like button path. And it teaches you each skill one at a time, walks you through. So it'll, like, the first one, it'll say, here's your information. You can click start, and then you get your screen. It's like my next one is like variables. Teaches you how to type in the screen, type in Java, walks you through the step. Now, this is not super gamey like some of the sites we've talked about in the past. This is going to be like teaching code. Here's the information, and it walks you through each spot. It gives you challenges. It gives you the solutions. If you're stuck, like, it will just walk you through the solution. It will also give you the warnings, like saying, hey, like, you messed up this part of the code. You need to fix this part. So it walks you through everything step by step. It's a great way, would be a great way to set up in computers class, or like I have the ability to teach an enrichment class. That's where I do a lot of my coding and my robots with my students. But even if it's just indoor recess in the winter, because we all know in January and February in Wisconsin and March and sometimes April, it gets super cold and you have indoor recess or it's raining outside. This would be a great way, like, tool to throw in for kids where they're learning, but they're having fun, but they're engaged. They have a daily challenge built in. You set your own goals, and then you earn little treasure chests, and there's a little leaderboard, and then there's like a store. So as you earn your little points while you get through your challenges, you can buy little things. They do have a pro version where you can unlock and all the extras are in there, but you can just walk your students through. And actually the program itself will walk them through step by step the fundamentals of what they're learning for whichever type of code they're learning. Are you coding right now?
Yeah, I'm learning Python.
Where are you?
Python.
Yeah. Are you already through like lesson 3? They go pretty quick because you can set goals for each day. So you can say you only want to learn 5 minutes a day. And that's what it will set you up like for success for 5 minutes. It doesn't keep dragging you on. If you want to do 10 minutes a day or half an hour a day, it will also do that too. So you do have those like flexibility, and I want a 5 minute a day lesson, even as a teacher. So that way you're brought up to speed on stuff that your students are doing. It's an easy way to learn a new skill in the new year, if that's something you're interested in. But also it's a really easy way for your students to set goals and to meet them for the school year too, all with different types of coding.
Yeah.
So Coddy.tech, Coddy.tech, would be your starting point. And I'll link it into Smart WI as well. So
Sweet.
you can check it out and do a little coding and start your little coding journey and learning something new for the start of the school year.
Excellent.
Which is super fun. So along the coding, problem solving way of life, the other site I'm going to talk about is, well, it starts with raspberrypi.org. So raspberrypi.org. So 100 years ago, about, what are we at now? She's 21. So 11 years ago, 12 years ago, the eldest in our life was really into coding.
She was, yeah.
We do this sometimes in our household. And she has built 2 Raspberry Pis, I think.
Yep.
And so like that's where we started in our family with Raspberry Pi. But what's really cool is if you go to raspberrypi.org, the Raspberry Pi Foundation has a whole learning section of resources. So you just click learn and it's like learn to code, join the code club, coding at home, challenges and showcases, explore the coolest projects. So if you scroll down, you can pick and choose where you want to do coding. You don't have to have a Raspberry Pi in order to do so. Okay. But what I found was if you go to projects.raspberrypi.org, it will take you straight to the project section that you can build on your computer and work on any computer. It does not have to be in a home-built Raspberry Pi. So projects.raspberrypi.org. And you have a whole collection, and it starts with, what are you interested in? So if you're interested in nature, space, stories, games, art, health, music, sports, and science, which I love because it ties coding in with other subject areas. Like coding is not just if you're going to sit on a computer, you can learn how to code and tie it into something else. So I'm going to go with nature because it's cute. And then, this I'm sure will be happening in our house this afternoon, the nature connections then go through Scratch. So again, you sign up or you log in. When you log in, it'll be another one of those little Google logins. And then like you can choose cats. And then you can create a game that guides your cats to safety from falling into holes. And you can learn how to code that in Scratch. So this you will definitely see you can start younger for sure. First grade on up. And it will give you the different Scratch levels. So if your students already have some familiarity with Scratch, this will walk them through some of the basics. So you can program an animation to learn about the United Nations 5 environmental focused sustainable developmental goals. And you can learn all about nature that way. You can grow a dragonfly. You can make a dragonfly that grows bigger as it eats annoying mosquitoes and other insects. It gives you downloadable directions for some of them, or you could print them for your students if they need to see the directions on one page and then type. Sometimes I do that for my students, depending on their needs, where they'll have like print directions because it's easier while they're working in Scratch. So you do have that option. It works you up again through different levels and different interest areas, which I love because then you have coding along with the topic that you're interested at the level that you're learning to code at in your grade level. The other thing is it's not just Scratch. They also have access through Raspberry Pi projects. You can use Python. They have web development, AI, physical computing, 3D and CAD projects. So they do have a breakdown for a variety of different types of technology and different types of coding that can teach your students different topics and different interesting coding pieces. The other part is if you want to choose instead of choosing by the topic they're interested in and what you want them to learn, you can choose that direction. So you can sort it by Scratch, Python, AI, data, 3D CAD, physical computing. So you can sort projects by what type of computing you want them to do or by what interest area you want them to. And again, tons of resources, very easy to get going in your classroom. Again, this could be an ongoing project. Maybe you could do this as a whole class as you guys are kind of learning together. You can have one kid in charge of typing each day while it's on the screen. Maybe it's 5 minutes a day. But also, it's a great way to teach your kids these problem-solving skills where it's not just handed to you. You're going to have to try it. If it doesn't work, you're going to have to try it again. and it's a fun way to do it. So both of these sites, while the Raspberry Pi Foundation, they're definitely more graphic and pretty.
Yeah.
You're going to learn really straightforward basics, easy to understand in both places, and like setting goals and having students achieve those, which is awesome. And all through coding and problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of fun things to do.
Yeah, it's a cool site. Make sure you go to raspberrypi.org. You go to raspberrypi.com. It is the place where you buy the equipment. So
gotcha. Oh, noted.
But it's projects.raspberrypi.org.
Yeah, that'll take you straight to the project page. Then you don't have to search for it.
Yeah.
So projects.raspberrypi.org.
Great.
Yeah. So check it out. 2 very cool coding sites. Fun for kids to do. Engaging for adults to do. And build some time into your day as we kick off 2026.
Yes.
Yay. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, find me on Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram @SmartandWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, visit smartandwi.com. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartandwi or visit smartandwi.com and click on that cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep the show going. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do.